There's a reason that 80% of us only make it less than 5 years.
Right.
Yep.
All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Fitz and Franson show. I'm Fitz.
Yep. And I'm Franson.
And this is a show where we talk about leadership, business growth, and what it actually takes to build something that lasts.
Without lying to yourself along the way.
And today we have one of those guests that when we tell you the story, you're going to feel like you might be playing a slightly different ball game. And I mean that more as a compliment to him and not so much as an insult to the listeners out there.
And I've been looking forward to this one. This guy who's been in the home services game for over 30 years. He's built his businesses in multiple states, sold them, moved to Arizona, retired. We're going to say retired. And then his daughter called. And now he's running one of the fastest growing concrete coating companies in the country. So folks, please welcome Jim Williams to the Fitz and Franson show.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah. Jim, we want to start somewhere where a lot of people might skip, and that's the origin. Not the business origin for you, but really, where did you start? You have an interesting background, and we'd love to hear kind of what shaped the way you think about business and life.
I based out of necessity as a child. My father was in the Army. He drove a tank. So in the 70s, that's called the cavalry, not horses, tanks. And so every 3 years, my family would move from location to location per requirements. I was born in Hammond, Indiana. And then probably when I was 2 or 3 years old, my father started patrolling the Berlin Wall in Germany. So he took his family with him to Germany. I don't have a lot of memories of that, although I do remember my kindergartner teacher was extremely hot. My dad used to always share that. Like, I would always want to take her stuff to give to her, like flowers or candy, or, I had a crush on my kindergarten teacher. That's my fondest memory of my first term in Germany.
That's
And then at 7, he came back to the States. We lived in Colorado Springs. I didn't know why at the time. I was just a kid, but I enjoyed learning how to ski and all the snow sports, right? So that was enjoyable. I went to Pikes Peak Elementary School, and he was actually training future tank drivers. I guess I don't know what the term is, but he was doing OJT for people to learn how to drive tanks. And then he took the guys, his last class, with them, and we went back to Germany for 3 more years. So all of my elementary years were in military schools. 6 of those were in Germany. Big advantage for me, just seeing the culture, right? So German culture is very, very disciplined, very organized, also very proud. They've got a bit of a chip on their shoulder because obviously history doesn't reflect beautifully upon them as it does most countries. So they really strive to reach out and show their genuine fondness and friendliness to foreigners. So that was always like a big warm hug. I remember that whenever we would go what was called off base into the economy, which was basically just hanging out with Germans. It was just like, it was like getting welcomed to a village, and you were some kind of royalty. It was enjoyable. But that constant moving, one of the disadvantages to it is, I don't have friends from elementary. My neighbor next door has a friend since he was 4. I don't have that. My oldest friend is since 7th grade. So when I came back to the States in 7th grade, the guy who had the locker beside me, I made fast friends because every 3 years you got to make friends. So continuing to make friends every 3 years, you kind of get pretty good at it. So no, but Darren was my next door locker buddy, and we actually talked yesterday because I recently became a grandparent, and he wanted to, he's not one yet, so I'm winning that war.
Yeah, congratulations.
So he actually
awesome.
wanted photos so that he could show his children, hey, we got to step up our game.
This is what you should be doing.
Yeah. See, this is it. No, but anyhow, so not having a history with a buddy since you were like since a teenager's mind. So, someone who checks you, right? Like, remember in 8th grade when I kicked that field goal? No, dude, you were never a kicker. So that's the enjoyable part of that. So that's what kind of formed my foundation, if you will. I'm not shy, because if I were shy, I would have 0 friends. I'm always like one to like reach out to people, make sure, that they're having a good day. If they're not having a good day, let's figure out how to make them have a good day. Right. So that's just kind of been ingrained in me since childhood. So that's kind of makes who Jim is, I guess.
It's a really cool perspective. My wife grew up military. I did not, and I think from an outsider looking in at that world, you might have the perspective looking at it that when you're moving around a lot, that would be a really hard thing. And I'm sure there were a lot of hard aspects about it, but that experience of being able to go some different places and experience some different cultures, and now having my better half be a part of that. To your point, she claims to not be social, but she is like the social butterfly. I work in the sales world. I can talk to anybody, but that's what I do for work. When I get done, I kind of want to be, zoned out and be done. And she bounces everywhere. And Jay knows, because every time we're done with work, I'm like, hey, I got to go to this thing and do this thing. And I didn't plan any of it. She's got all the things planned and ready to go. So it's cool how you've turned that into a massive strength, and getting to see some of that stuff growing up, I'm sure was, maybe not always appreciated at that moment, but looking back on it, it's probably a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, I still
Sure.
have a little bit of German that because I'm not practicing it every day, right? So if you
Yeah.
practice it every day, it stays with you. But every once in a while, I'll run into someone with some German heritage. It's kind of warm and refreshing at the same time, just to kind of relive those moments.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's cool.
Congrats on the grandkid, by the way, too. That's
Thank
an
you.
awesome,
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, silver spoon.
There you
Yeah.
go. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, we are going to drop some years that start with 19, but I think that's okay. You graduated in 89 and started in finance, and
Yeah.
then you made a pivot into home improvement with, is it Amri?
Yeah, it's
Um,
AMRI's an acronym for American Remodeling. They were a
okay.
Sears SFI, self furnish and install for Sears nationwide.
Sure. And so this wouldn't actually be an obvious move necessarily. What pulled you in that direction?
Ooh, that's a zinger. So, I was, I wanted to be Gordon Gekko. That was my role model from Wall Street in the 80s. So I
Sure.
studied finance. I wanted to be a financial advisor. But when you're 21 years of old and just getting started and your friends have little to no money, it's really challenging to convince their parents that you know what you're doing.
But yeah,
So
sure.
I kicked that can for 2 years, developed some cauliflower ears, a lot of cold calling, and learned a
Mhm.
lot about the rigors of generating your own business, your own appointments, which,
Yeah.
helped me later in life learn that, like, if, being able to market yourself and create opportunities, it's not easy.
Mm.
So for 2 years, I dealt with that, and then literally I was frustrated on a Friday at a TGI Fridays, actually, which was a block away from Karen Iyer's apartment that we lived in, and a gentleman from Tennessee named Jim White. He started talking to me at the bar, asking me how I was doing. So he was the manager for Sears Amory and that in St. Louis. And he asked me how much I earned for a living, and I shared that with them. And he said I should make 5 times that. And I was like,
Sure.
yeah, cool story, bro. He's like, no,
Mhm.
no, no, no. If you come work for me, you will make 5 times that in your first year. I was just it just kind of like I went home and told Karen that, and I was like, he said 5 times, like 5 times. He said 5 times. And she says, well, what are you going to do? And I said, well, he said, if I meet him on Saturday, he will take me on 2 sales calls. And if he sells them, he's going to give me the commission. And Karen goes, you should absolutely do that.
Yeah.
That's good.
So I did, and we sold both. And Monday morning, I was now officially working for him. So that was a cabinetry call for Sears. Obviously, as the GM, it was a large office. He had 8 sales reps. So 16 leads were on his desk. He got to choose which 2 to take me on. Not that you can pick leads, because if you did, I would still be running them.
Mhm.
Right. Sure.
But yeah, so that was August of 92. I remember vividly. I told my father in September that I'd changed professions, and you would have thought I told him I committed a crime.
Mhm.
No,
So
man.
he
Mhm.
was severely disappointed in me that I'd given up on my dream so easily. It was a trying time for our relationship. But in 4 months, I made $65,000, which was 3 times what I had
Mhm.
been earning. And I
Mhm.
bought him a 55-inch rear projection Sony TV for Christmas.
Nice.
And all of a sudden, his interest level was like, so what? Talk to me about these cabinets. How does that work? How
That's
are you
right.
doing so well? So I basically didn't win him over. I bought him.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'll work. Yeah.
That's
So,
really
yeah,
good.
so I sold for Sears for like a year and a half. The next year, they don't give a national salesperson a year. There's 5 regions, but I won that. They actually gave me a gold Rolex, which was crazy for my
Wow.
age. Yeah,
Mhm.
26 years old. And I wore it for a couple of months. It was awkward. It just
Mhm.
felt like, I was always trying to hide it. And you definitely
Mhm.
couldn't wear it on a sales call. And
Mhm.
so I ended up buying a Mazda 626 at a car dealer. Took the watch in and I said, "Hey, I'm going to give you this watch and you give me the car." The
Wow.
salesman said, "We don't do that." I was like, "Okay, I'm going to go
Mhm.
with the next dealer." And
Yeah.
about an hour and a half after that first one, Lou Fuse was the car dealer in St. Louis. He called me on the phone and I met Lou and he took my watch and gave me a car key.
Wow.
No
That's
kidding.
a good
Pretty cool
story.
story.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
That's awesome.
2 years of Sears doing really well, making their trips. They asked me to go to Chicago and do some training. They had a turnover of their staff there and a large office, 25 reps. I spent 3 weeks in Chicago training them, got really close with the regional manager there, Joe Grover, and he asked me if I had any interest in moving into management after spending that time with them. Obviously,
Mhm.
absolutely upwardly mobile, correct? So
Mhm.
little did I know they had a hole in Buffalo, New York that they couldn't fill. And I was obviously young and naive enough to say, sure, I'll move there.
Mhm.
So, yeah, Karen and I picked up and we had plans to be married like 4 months after that move. And Karen and I decided that she didn't want to move to Buffalo without being married. She didn't want to move as my
Mhm.
girlfriend.
Yeah.
I felt at the time she was trying to stick it to me. But we eloped and we moved, and it was probably the best thing we ever did because it gave me so much opportunity. Because not
Yeah.
again, the military background came in. I didn't know anyone. I didn't know
Mhm.
where I was, and I made fast friends, and you know, recruited a lot of people for the stores. Karen and I would go
Mhm.
to a restaurant, and if a server would be friendly and selling like the appetizers and the desserts, things they're trained to
Mhm.
do, that was a
Yeah.
person I wanted in my stores. So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
first year I turned over 40% of the staff in the 8 stores. Actually, it's 6 stores and 2 outposts, they call them. But I took the budget to 250% in my first year just by getting the right people in the right place. So that Sears was very good to us. 6 years of like really taking care of us and started having children. They just did a great job, not only teaching me how to do the marketing, the recruiting, the training, the production, like all the facets of how to run a business. I learned that in that 5-year tenure with them, from being
Yeah.
a branch manager to then a district manager. My final position was a regional manager where I had everything from the Mississippi and, believe it or not, north of the Mason-Dixon line. That's how they
Mhm.
divided the region.
Ah,
I found a little bit astonishing in a corporate world, but that was the gig.
very cool. You just start kind of sitting at the bar on TGA Fridays and having that reminded me of a good friend of mine used to say all the time when we were interviewing salespeople, when we, said, okay, this is somebody we like and we want to sell them, I could tell he liked him. He would flip and say, just so you know, this is the best kept secret in America, a role in this industry. And I have friends of mine that know what I do, who I think would be great in this world. And I think I'm a good salesperson, but I might not be because I still haven't convinced them to come into this world because
Yeah,
they look at it and go, you can do what? Selling windows or doors or,
right.
siding or roofing. And I'm like, I'm telling you, man, it is. And you
Mhm.
just need to take that leap. And once you get into it, I don't know that everybody has the first day that you had in the industry, but you have that first day and
Yeah.
hopefully you got somebody smart around you that says, yeah, you should go ride with that guy and take that leap of faith. That's a cool story.
Thank you.
Well, so from there, was it like a early 2000s and Rhino Shield was what you got into, correct?
Sears actually, when I became a regional, we had, what did I have? 97. So we had a 2-year-old and an infant,
Mhm.
and I got the option of relocating anywhere within my territory. And our families are both from St. Louis, so it was a choice between Chicago or Indianapolis. And if you do the math doesn't math in Chicago
Mhm. Mhm.
between the taxes and the cost of the
Sure.
real estate. So we chose Indianapolis again, not knowing anything about that city. And it's the smartest choice. Life's about choices. Like, best
Yeah.
choice is your wife. next choice is where you live, in my opinion. And just a
Mhm.
great, great city. We've enjoyed it thoroughly, raised our children here. I couldn't be happier with that choice that we made at that time. But 6 weeks into it, Sears went belly up. I don't know if you
Mhm.
guys are old enough to recall that, but that was a huge, like,
Yeah.
shot across the bow to the American economy, that Sears and
Mhm.
Roebuck, like a
Yeah.
huge force in the corporate world, was all of a sudden down the drain. And so
Mhm.
Yep.
I felt bad for, like, literally about 2 weeks. Like, what do I do now? Questioning myself to, like, who do I go to work for? What do I do? And Karen and I talked about it, and we had some solemn moments. And I said, I think I'm just going to do this on my own.
Mhm.
Because every time I would interview with someone, I found myself asking them questions that they didn't really know what they were doing.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Sure.
So I started a telemarketing room, and I had 6 callers, and I was initially the sales rep, but then we had 3 sales reps. And basically anything you wanted to do for your home, I could do it.
Mhm.
So windows, siding, roofing, fencing, anything to make a living, right, at that moment.
Mhm.
And
Sure.
then the first year we started developing relationships with suppliers to where you got some purchasing power. And then we started to hone in on what we did best, which was windows, siding, and roofing. I fortunately found good crews that did great work. And there's a thing about, and I always talk in this business, we make promises to people, but do we keep those promises? And the backbone of this industry is actually the worker, right?
Mhm.
They're the ones who show up and do what we sound like it's the best thing ever, and they're gonna love it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you gotta do the job, right?
Yeah.
So, like, again, very fortunate. Like, that's something I learned with Sears, is they had some policies that I didn't really agree with, how they didn't treat the worker as well as they
Mhm.
should have. So we always had a high turnover in that
Mhm.
department. It was frustrating because it would result in services. So
Sure.
something I learned over the years is just appreciate everyone for what they do. Everyone has a skill set, but appreciate them for what they do. Right. So I was a small business. I had very little overhead. At this moment, I couldn't pay the percentage of the job that I did then. Let's just say that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Marketing budget is a little different.
Yeah. A little bit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It changes over the years. There's no doubt
Yeah,
about
when you're
that.
just
Mhm.
when you're just banging on the phone and getting leads, lead cost
Mhm.
is super low. God, I
Yeah.
wish
Yep.
we had those days again.
Yeah.
Or the
Even just
Facebook of 15 years ago.
right. Yeah.
Mhm.
A
Mhm.
week of that would be nice. That would be cool.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I would just roll
Yeah.
in that like relish it, right?
Yeah.
And
That would be
Mhm.
cool. There you
so
go.
4 years I did that, and then, Steve Dominic, who was a fellow regional, he actually was kinda when I there were 6 regionals, and he kinda mentored me. He was the old guy on the block. Actually, he was only, like, 8 years old, but he kinda mentored me as I grew into that position. And he called me up randomly on the phone and said, "Hey, Jim, I have this thing. I kinda wanna talk to you about. It's an opportunity." And he goes I go, "What's going on, Steve?" He goes, "I think I discovered liquid gold." I said, "Liquid gold, huh?" And he's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Well, tell me more." And he's like, "No, no, no, no. We're gonna get together. Let's go to dinner with the wives, have some wine." Okay. Okay. So that's a non-confrontational. I'll go to a free dinner, have some wine. Sure.
Mhm.
And so he just kind of laid out that he had discovered this product, and he had a guy who was going to start manufacturing it directly for him, a paint factory. And
Mhm.
so he had kind of taken a formula from a couple of, permanent paint companies, and figured out how and why they didn't work, because none of them were
Mhm.
working at that time, and
Yeah.
developed with Robert, who was the engineer at this plant. If we do this and we do that, and by the way, he's had this product selling it commercially since 77. And that's when I started to listen, right?
Yeah.
So hold on. Let's talk about this product that's been in existence. Why has it not been discovered and marketed?
Mhm.
And it was
Mhm.
it was a commercial product that was specifically used on flat roofs. It had never been thought to be put on a vertical surface.
Mhm.
So we kind of took that product and devised a marketing strategy. And Steve had corralled all of us old Sears guys, even though we were in our early 40s, but we were the old Sears guys, and said, "Hey guys, I think
Mhm.
we have something here. This could be beneficial to all of us." And we were literally at a Papado's restaurant in Atlanta, throwing back tequila shots, trying to come up with a company name.
Where the best ideas come from.
That's right.
I mean, people always want this like great boom of how the creativity came about.
Need a little
Yeah,
extra juice. That's it.
yeah, a little juice goes a long way. Mike Redmond came up with the name Rhino Shield, and the product was called Ceramic Guard. And what does ceramic do? Like, how do you market that? So anyhow, we chose that name. That was the first official board meeting of Rhino Shield, and we all went back to our 8 cities and we started marketing. We started doing what we do best, right? Brand awareness, like educating the customer through your ads. First of all, it was a lot of education, and then I remember it was like 2005 or 6 after three solid years of marketing. I'm in the grocery checkout line. Karen had given me some things to pick up on my way home, and I had my Rhino Shield logo shirt on. And the lady turns around behind me, and it was always, "Is that truck bed liners?" Because of the Rhino
Yeah,
lining.
that's right. Yeah.
So we always pushed up against that to try to, like, if our brand becomes that brand, then we can just write our own ticket. And she goes, "Rhino Shield." She goes, "Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again." And I just started laughing. And she goes, "What's so funny?" I go, "You are the first person in 4 years to recognize that I have arrived." Yeah, so it was like that. I remember that moment vividly. Like, I called everyone. I'm like, "Hey guys, I'm in the grocery store. We're officially on the map."
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Was that was a moment, right? Pretty special moment that day. And
Yeah.
I built that business. It took 6 years. I don't know how much you want me to share, but $3.5 million. And I thought I was living the life. I had winters off because we couldn't paint in the winter. I would make hay for 8 months. And then one of my guys had a family issue in Cincinnati, a key player in my production staff. He's like, "Jim, I'm going to have to go take care of my family." I'm like, "Oh, absolutely. You do what you need to do." And he's like, "Well, why can't we just do it there?" I was like, "I don't know. Why can't we?" And literally, guys, that conversation started like, I'd never thought about expanding beyond my territory, even though I had a great history of running half of 1/6 of the country. And that moment was like an epiphany. I was like, whoa, because all of my other Rhino Shield dealers, they were coastal or south to where they worked year round. And I would just literally heckle them all winter long because I'd come visit them. Like the Jacksonville dealer, I would go visit him and I would play. He was a member at Sawgrass. I'd play Sawgrass 5 days a week. I mean, his
Nice.
he'd be out working.
Yeah.
And then I'd go visit the guy in Destin. I'd play Kelly Plantation. Or I'd go to New Orleans. I'd play TPC Louisiana. My golf game got really good over the winter.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I was staying at their house. It was fun. But so like Cincinnati came in '08. That led to Columbus in 10, Lexington and Louisville, which spawned off of Cincinnati in 12. I had an old Sears guy, Dan Hoey, reach out to me. He lived in Cleveland. I'm like, "Dude, why do I want to do business in Cleveland? That place is, Cleveland." He convinced me. And 2 years later, him and I did a joint venture. And that was my first partnership. And we opened up Pittsburgh. We were thriving. I was from 12 on, because of the multi-locations, I've been the Rhino Shield Dealer of the Year, which is a volume-based award. But if you have 6 locations, it's kind of tough to compete. So it's been a fun ride, a lot of great people, a lot of fun stories. And the interesting thing is when 19 came, one of my production managers in my original location, Indy, Ron Smith, who'd been with me 12 years, he had a family tragedy where he came into some money, and he's like, I want to start mine. I'm like, "You absolutely could start yours." He goes, "But I want to start it here." I'm like, "Yeah, that's going to be a problem."
Yeah.
But he actually did all the research and met with a banker, and it's hard to say no to a big number, boys.
Yeah.
So Karen's like, "But what will you do?" I go, "Well, we'll just run all the others." She goes, "Yeah, but what will you do?"
Yeah. Yeah.
I said, "Well, I'll just
Golf in the winter.
I'll travel to the others more frequently. I used to go like semi-annually. I'll just start going there quarterly. I'll be more involved in the other operations." And so that was the plan. And then winter came, and the other guys in the other offices, they wanted a piece of the action. How do I get to move up to the ownership? And so it's real easy. I can put you in touch with a banker. You'll have to work it out with him. And I gave them each a number that at our Christmas party. I gave them a little envelope and had a number.
Mm-hmm.
What's this number? I'm like, that's your number. Merry Christmas.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So literally all of them within the next year were sold.
Wow.
So the banker, actually, I'm really good friends with him now, Mark Harville. He actually said at like about the third one, I had the right to increase the numbers
Mm-hmm.
because there was a pattern established to the bank where they would loan, the LTV was now higher. If I'm anything, I'm loyal and honorable. I'm like, no, those people helped me grow that business.
Yep.
That is theirs if they have the ability to put it together.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah. So in a year and a half, I was retired.
Excellent.
Not bad. Not bad.
Yeah, 52 years of age, and like this is the dream, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then so we bought a home in Scottsdale at a really nice golf club, and I was just gonna golf. That'd be my job.
Mm-hmm.
Take care and out, do a little traveling, and I did that for 3 months.
That long. Wow.
You
Well,
took it easy.
I had pre-programmed my brain like winter was over.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'd done that for 16 years. Like,
Mhm.
okay, that was fun. Now I got to do something, right? I had to challenge myself because all the guys that I was golfing with were giving me advice on how to handle life in your 70s.
Mm-hmm.
I am so prepared as I age for all the ailments and all the little,
Mm-hmm.
tax loopholes and how to handle
Ugh.
Medicaid and Medicare and Social Security. I am well schooled in all those subjects. It's
Very
funny.
cool.
man.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
So, but they go to bed at 8:00. If you golf in the morning and you go to lunch, you have 2 beers with them and they got to go home and take a nap.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
No. So, COVID hit in 20. But prior to that,
Mhm.
the Rhino Shield manufacturer was upset with me. Like I say
Mhm.
that mildly. Obviously, you don't want a guy who's cranking business for you to like hand it off to others. The others were doing well, and they've actually a couple of they kind of let me know that they've eclipsed me in terms of the best that market has ever done, and I'm so happy for them. Actually, that's awesome. I hope they all do, right? Because I got paid.
Mhm.
But he said, Jim, I'd like you to consider running Arizona. So it went, there was a banter for a couple of weeks, and he made it almost impossible to say no from the
Mhm.
lucrative aspect of there was no fee up front and some really good pricing on product guaranteed for a length of time.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we started up Phoenix in March of 20.
Mhm.
Middle of COVID. Can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't do that.
Scary time.
Luckily, Arizona was a state that always stayed open. Like
Mhm.
Aaron and I, like, were sending photos to friends and family for St. Patrick's Day. We were in an Irish bar
Mhm.
with like
Yeah.
a lot of people very closely touching each other, unmasked,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and it was a joyous celebration.
Sure.
That's how Arizona had to like wear the mask in, but once you're in, it was just some of the craziness of that era was just when you're
Yeah.
looking back on it, comical.
It's wild. It's wild to remember it for sure.
But that business boomed right out of the chute, like
Mhm.
phenomenal. Like 6 million. Next year we did 9, but next year we did 12. It was
Wow.
one state was amassing nearly what 8 locations in the Midwest would do. It's the perfect market for an external product where the ceramics that are infused into the paint reflect the heat. So it keeps your house cooler while at the same time waterproofing the stucco. Stucco's notorious for it's a sponge, right? Like your kitchen
Mhm.
sink. It absorbs in the water and then it evaporates, absorbs, evaporates. What's that sponge like in 30 days? Hard as a rock. That's what, and then your stucco cracks. Then the repair is huge, wall to wall, right? So perfect product, perfect scenario. God smiled on Jim again.
Yep.
But in the meantime, we're like coming back to visit our children. My daughter was doing really well with a company called Tom James selling custom clothing. And she had acquired some clients that were like the WNBA. These beautiful ladies, where do they buy clothes when you're 6'1" lady? Like, you don't go to Nordstrom's.
Mhm.
Don't
Yep.
go to Macy's. Like like custom clothing is really their only option, or wear men's clothes, right?
Mhm.
So she did really well with that, and the notoriety of it. She was like rookie of the year for her region. So as a parent, of course she was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in
Yeah.
the genes.
Oh.
But COVID hit, and you're no longer to visit person. So how
Mhm.
does that affect her business? Poof,
Yeah.
Gone, yeah.
right? So she's 23 years of age, and we're having a discussion about what her next move is in the middle of COVID. She sees Rhino Shield starting to start and do really well instantly. And she's like, Dad, why don't we just do that here? Well, babe, there's already one here,
Mhm.
and I have a non compete.
Mhm.
So, and she said, "Well, what else can we do?" And I'm like, "Well, why don't you figure it out?" I kind of put the ball back in her court, honestly, because I didn't have an answer.
Mhm.
I didn't, and I felt as a parent, you always want to be able to provide that answer or that solution. I That was uncharted waters.
Sure.
Mhm.
And to her credit, about a month and a half later, she thought of the flooring business, garage floors.
Mhm.
And initially, it's a small ticket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like let's do something like 15 to 25 range.
Mhm.
She's like, "No, Dad, this is gonna be," and she was persistent.
Mhm.
And then she did the research on the manufacturers, and that's when I knew she was serious.
Mhm.
She's and then at Christmas of 20, well, actually it was Thanksgiving of 20, she had her proposal together.
Mhm.
So she's like, Dad, this is going to be the brand. This is the catchphrase. Like, she thought of the Galaxy name. She thought of
Cool.
take your concrete out of this world. She had
Mhm.
like three manufacturers. Dad, that's not mine. Just you talk to them. And then
Mhm.
we started December 1st.
Mhm.
She was the sales rep. She was taking in the Facebook calls. She was overwhelmed, actually, in
Mhm.
hindsight.
I'm
Mhm.
sure.
But it was the best education for her. This is what it takes. Like, that's one of the people always like, "Oh, you're a business owner. It's so easy." No.
No.
Yeah. Then try
There's
it.
a reason that 80% of us only make it less than 5 years.
Right.
Yep.
It's called commitment. It's called
Yep.
misery. It's
Yep.
called you have to have a huge self-belief because no
Yep.
one else
Yep.
is gonna believe in you. You have to be
Yeah.
your number one fan, but also you have to be willing to do what others won't. It's
Mhm.
just that simple. Like, other people are like, "No, I'll just get a job." Okay.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, I'm gonna, burn the candle at both ends, determine a way to win.
Mhm.
It's about winning, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
running your own business is about you personally winning that yes, you can do it. And you
Mhm.
can. You just have to be determined, and you have to have a good
Yep.
game plan, and you have to stay on it. You have to stay on it.
Yeah.
And Haley did.
Absolutely.
She was really good at sales. Her brother and I did the first 3 jobs, and then we decided, yeah, we need production staff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So coming out of retirement didn't include you
Ooh,
installing
yeah.
floors?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the knees.
That'll catch up to you quick.
Oh,
Yep.
phew, the fr
Yeah.
and then, like, we didn't have the proper equipment. I snorted concrete for 4 days in a row. I couldn't get that stuff out of my system. It was
Yeah.
miserable. We actually poached, honestly. We poached a crew from a competitor, and actually that was a lesson I learned. Like, if you bring in someone from another organization, you're gonna be doing that organization. Versus
Yeah.
if you bring in someone fresh, you teach them your system.
Mhm.
It's much better. Like, that's a good carrot to always have. That's
Mhm.
the easy way out. The
Yeah.
better way out is to bring in someone and create a person who's of your organization who does things your way, which I would say the right way, right?
Yeah.
But your
Right.
way is the right way. So you don't need that contrasting opinion. Sometimes it may be right, sometimes it may not be right, but in my opinion, it's never right because what we do is what we do.
Yeah, you constantly have that fight and that battle with well, we used to, or I always did, or those kinds of things. And to your point, even if it might be a different way or a better way of doing it, it's just a challenge of trying to get somebody to fit in with how
Yeah.
we need it done. That's a problem for sure. There's no
Mhm.
doubt about that. It's an awesome story. The work that she put in to get it prepared and ready to go, and the faith that you had in her to go run it down, and the commitment for you to get down on your hands and knees and do some of the grinding and work in the Arizona heat is is a big commitment to get it done. And that's why you're right. There's a lot of people that look over the fence and say it must be easy, but not everybody tries it.
Yeah, Fitz actually was in Indianapolis because Haley
Oh, it
lives in
was. Okay.
Indianapolis. Yeah. So
Okay.
we did that for 6 months. And then again, the envy of the Rhino Shield team in Arizona is like, well, what are you doing over there? How come
Sure.
we can't do that here?
Yeah.
So
Very cool.
that led to a really like in our first year, we had 3 locations. Boom, just add water.
Mm.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so honestly, that first year, probably 18 months, a lot of trials and tribulations.
Sure.
Because the flooring business, it's a big investment on the side of ownership in terms of tools and equipment, trailers, trucks. You don't run an ad for concrete coaters. You have to create them.
Right.
That's a 3 to 6 month process just to get them to be average to good.
Right.
2 years until they're great, in my opinion.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
that's a slow build versus in the paint business. I run an ad. A guy's got ladders, guy's got brushes, guy's got sprayers. I want to go on the parking lot and see how nice of a truck he has.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
So much easier on the manpower. So that was, you kind of had to reinvent yourself to like start moving in a proper direction that would be beneficial to the business, because it was a lot of 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's,
So honestly, if my daughter wasn't in the business, I might have like a few times just said, "What am I doing?"
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard other owners say the same thing as I've talked to them over the years here at Powerful. And yeah, for the listeners, I met Jim back it was the spring of 21, I think, Jim. We were up in Lakeville, and I think you went to John Zimmerman. You're like, hey, let me talk to your marketing guys. It was probably one of the first things you said to me. You didn't even know me. And you're like, I will be dealer of the year this year. I'm like, okay, so let's talk strategy. And we jumped in, and that was in the Phoenix market, and it just exploded. Reminisce about the good old days of Facebook, but you turn Facebook ads on in Phoenix, it is every single piece of the ground on people's property is concrete. And we just jumped in and dominated. And here we are a couple of years later, 5 locations. It's been explosive growth. What do you think has been, I mean, you kind of shared with the Rhino Shield, but in the coatings industry being different, what do you think has been maybe a secret to scaling this fast without quality falling apart?
In what aspect of the business, like on the lead production or just overall? So
kind of like jumping into a new market. How do you drop into Denver? How do you drop into Tucson? How did you drop into these places and just say, here we are, look at us go?
So first and foremost, the brand, right? So when I say Galaxy has no affiliation to what we actually do. Like if you know what Galaxy is, then we're in the concrete coating business. So that was the beauty of Haley's thought, because she had heard me like with the other brand, the Rhino Shield brand, we branded the product. And so I knew that to do this properly, that like I said, when I was in the grocery store with that lady at the checkout line, when she recognized who we were, that's when we became officially we were no longer truck bed liner.
Sure.
So the same thing with this, like when I come into Denver, I'm Galaxy. Who's Galaxy? There's some questioning that creates interest. And then when they do the research, they're on the hook. Now they get a little taste, and they want to know what we do, how much it is, how do we compare. That's something we do on the sales side. Salesmen are always looking for no objections.
Sure.
Right?
Those sales guys. Ugh.
And
all right, take it easy.
Then they go on and on and on about how great they did.
This feels targeted at this moment.
Hey, I was a sales guy. I got great stories of where the customer said, sounds good to me.
Yeah.
And that was always about the presentation, right? It's because I did a flawless presentation.
Right. Yeah.
But anyhow, so the brand is like, it creates. So what we do that's unique in talking to other dealers is we do radio. We call it shotgun. So we do AM talk radio where people listen to the radio, not change the station, right? And it's a captive audience. We do both sides of the political aisle. I don't really care what your affiliation is. I just want your green money. So we shotgun the market, a lot of just Galaxy brand. We followed in. after about 6 months with local testimonials. Hey, I heard Galaxy out. I heard them on the radio. They came out and they gave me and they explained their experience, but we kind of steer that experience towards a benefit of the product, right? Like if they had cracking and dilapidated contract, we sealed the cracks and we made it look beautiful. They had outdated pool surround and we brought it into the 21st century, and now it looks like a resort. So but it's not me saying it; it's a customer saying it. So that's our radio campaign, and then obviously that spurs interest on the computer. And like Facebook to me is kind of like it's a net, right? When people start searching you, it's the job of Facebook or your SEO campaign or your Google AdWords to capture that, right? So my goal is to make that net be like salmon fishing upstream during spawning season. I want to fill that creek as thick as I can with interest, and then the net captures them. Like Denver's in its second year. This year, we introduced print. So like every town, it has a different name. Some are called Reach. Some are called Money Mailer. Some of them are called Home Mag. Basically, it's a home improvement specific print product that goes in the mailbox with a frequency, monthlies, bi-monthly, quarterly, whatever. And with all of those, we put phone numbers that when it comes to our inbound marketing, Amber, who's a blessing, absolute blessing. Thank you, baby Jesus. But anyhow, she doesn't have to ask, how did you hear about us? The call tracking does it for her. And so that way we can, at that point, it becomes math, right? How much did I spend for the lead? How many leads do I get? What were the sales percentages? What's the volume? And all those vary product to product. So you get some like radio high lead costs, but it's a 60% sale. So like I can get 12 leads, but I'm selling 7 of them, guys. And so 42 grand, what's my radio cost? 13,000. Oh, it's a little high. All right. So then the sales manager, I'll be like, hey, I have 2 good reps, 2 average reps. Let's start funneling the radio ads to my horses, right? It's a horse race. So the one with the best odds of selling the deal, I need him to run those leads this month. And then you check it the next month. Okay, was it the lead or was it the rep? It was the rep. Okay, well then I can put more money into that source because I can trust it. I have an investor because if I was a day trader, I would drive myself crazy. I'd buy and sell the same stock 3 times in a day. If it went up $1, I'd make it and then capture it and then put it back out there. But that's marketing, guys. That's marketing to me, right? You invest in it. You allow it to perform. You learn what the nuances of it are. High leads, great. You can get high leads, low close. Or you can get low leads, high close. Both of those could be good. What you want is high leads, high close. And what you don't want is low leads, low close. It's a little bit of science, more math. Really is. And then just tweaking how you approach the customer. Like always make it personal. Have it be a rep or a customer. It's home improvements, guys. We're not corporate image. They want to work with a company they can trust. So it's about trying to establish that trust through some type of media source.
I think you make a lot of really great points with that. I think the message of making it feel like it's them in the messaging, right? It's a homeowner, it's the people they're going to deal with, I think is a critical part of the messaging. But one of the things that I think is really important there that I know Jay and I talking to a lot of dealers in the pen tech world right now, watching the numbers constantly is critical to know kind of what is performing, not performing, but also understanding, you mentioned like radio might not be producing a ton of ads and it might be costing you a little bit, but if you're closing all of the ones you're getting, it's still good. But it's also feeding other things, right? And that's the other thing. We've seen so many people make the critical mistake of going, well, I'm not getting enough. It's costing me too much. But yeah, but you closed every single one of them. And the second you turned it off, these other 4 lead sources died because they hear you every day on the radio as they're driving to work or whatever it might be while they're sitting and eating breakfast. And now they don't care to click on your Facebook ad anymore because they don't know who the heck that was that went by as they're scrolling. So the understanding that it all works together and the idea that you layer on as you're in a market for a period of time too is a critical part. Well, it doesn't work anymore. Well, it's because it's matured, right? You got to find new lead sources and add things on over time. And it's an ever evolving thing that you need somebody on your team that's watching on a regular basis. That's a great message that people need to hear.
Yeah. An example of like TV used to be a home run and TV's turned out to be compared to like yellow pages and newspaper.
Hmm.
Like,
It's hard. It's hard. The target shifts on a regular basis, and you got to
yeah,
have the guts to try new things at times, and know how long to let it run, and try
yeah,
it, and know when to pull it back. There's no doubt, and have good mentors and good people to talk about what's working and when what's not in their markets, and
Yeah.
like I said, have some budget set aside to try some things at times too.
yeah. We call that the fun money.
Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
There you
No,
go.
we
Mm-hmm.
set that aside in the marketing budget every
You
year. We
should
call it fun money to either juice something that's doing well, or something may come up during the year that's new to us, and you
Mm-hmm.
got to have those. You got to have a little fun money on the side.
for sure.
And if you don't
No,
spend it
that's
well, hey guys, want to go to Cabo for the weekend?
That's extra
I
fun
like.
money.
Yeah,
Well, that's an
that's right.
investment in the future of your management.
Yep,
That's
that's right.
it. Team building, I think,
Team
is
building, correct.
there you go. There you go.
Yeah, opportunity to take tequila shots and name the next company.
There you go.
Yes.
There you go.
Haley has a story that I can't share, but she got creative.
I like it. I like it.
It's
All
cool.
right.
Yeah, so we'll start with one we call them hot takes. The first one I want to ask you, give me your unfiltered response. And this is, I hear both sides of this, but working with family and business is a terrible idea.
Hmm.
What's your response to that?
It's not the same. And Haley would attest to this well. We kind of tiptoed around each other, like walked on eggshells, where my approach is more direct and hands-on. My production staff will say that, every once in a while when Jim's upset, we know, because my tone goes up, the vulgarity increases. And, when it's your baby girl, you just can't do that. It's not, yeah. So, so there's that that interpersonal relationship. You're reinventing it, right?
Mhm.
Because you've gone from being the provider, the caretaker, the guidance counselor, to where, hey, we
Yeah.
gotta get stuff done, right? So fortunately for me, Haley kind of, as I mentioned earlier, she did things, right?
Yeah.
I didn't have to motivate her. It was just kind of,
Mhm.
she issue that it wasn't really an issue. It was just God love her effort. She would just do stuff on her own without consulting me occasionally.
Mhm.
And it
Mhm.
wouldn't have been a choice I would have made.
Mhm.
And so it was just kind of like, in a way, you don't want to really hold them back. You want to let them run, right? Let her run. Because
Yeah.
like, she's taught me stuff, especially on the marketing side.
Mhm.
Pets and print ads, for an example, huge response. I'm like, why are we putting this dog on the floor? She's like, Dad,
Mhm.
it'll work. Okay, we'll
Mhm.
try it.
Mm.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, great
Yep.
idea.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but like the reward side of it though is, like there's very few times as we get older where you get to celebrate a victory, right?
Yeah.
Like team
Yeah.
sports teaches both of my kids like how to compete, how to be good sports. But when you win, like once you get to be 30, when do you win?
Yeah.
Like when do you, like the Vikings go to the playoffs, you felt like you won,
Right.
Uh-huh.
but
Yeah.
you didn't.
That is the Super Bowl for us.
Well, yes, but when the Colts won the Super Bowl, like it was a glorious night, but like I
Mhm.
didn't contribute. But when they
Yeah.
win, it's we.
Yeah. Yep.
And when they don't, they suck.
They suck.
Mhm.
No, but so
Yeah.
like you get to share those even small victories, guys. Like if she
Mhm.
runs an ad and it does well, as I just explained, that's a shareable
Mhm.
moment that's so
Yeah.
satisfying.
Sure.
Like family can be a struggle. Family can also be fantastic. So,
Sure.
it's risk reward. It's not the same as a regular employee employer relationship because they're your
Mhm.
family, for crying out
Yeah.
loud. And she will
Sure.
tell
Yeah.
you, like, there's been times where she will approach me in a manner that no employee would ever approach me.
Mhm.
Oh,
Mhm.
sure.
And
Yeah.
that's initially, that was new to me. So honestly,
Mhm.
I didn't react as well as I should have. But I've learned
Mhm.
over the 5 years where we don't have those speed bumps on the proverbial road, right? I would encourage it. If it fails, okay, well, then you still go back to being family.
Sure.
Yeah.
But like the gain far exceeds the risk. Like, so I would
Mhm.
absolutely encourage.
Yeah.
That's
Well, and
cool.
I think what you touched on at the very beginning is you have to essentially reinvent the relationship.
Right.
And I think that's probably where people that say never work with family get it wrong is they thought that what they were doing just as family around the dinner table would somehow translate into building a business. And yeah, you're right. Reinvent it. Hey, this is what we're here to do. We're here to win. So that's what
Yeah.
our conversations are going to be around. That's great.
All right, Jim, here's another one for you. So one we've asked of other guests on the show, and it's a common phrase. You have to spend money to make money. Where do you stand on that?
Absolutely. 100%. I have a lot of friends who are business owners, and a lot of them are their businesses stagnant year in and year out. A classic example, a friend of mine, he had a set amount that he spends in marketing every year, and he would do X of that marketing spend. And one year he did X on his marketing spend. And so he bought a lake property and a boat, paid cash for the property and a boat. And the next year he went back to X.
Mm-hmm.
And so he actually consulted me at that point. He's like, Jim, what did I do wrong? I'm like, you didn't do anything wrong. You did it so right before that you didn't capitalize on it.
Mm-hmm.
I said, so when you made 10X on your investment in marketing, I would have taken 5X of that and put it into marketing the next year. It would have taken his marketing budget 2.5X. I mean, I don't, if you want me to use numbers, I will. Numbers are numbers, right? So
Sure.
like he did, if he'd have invested that back into his marketing and grew his business, he thought just, if I just keep spending this on marketing, I'll keep hitting this number. No, that's not how it works. You got to reinvest. Like when you collect your profit at the end of the year, hopefully it's enough to support yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then of the surplus, like you got to do things like tithe and like reinvest in your business and give to charity. You can't be a hoarder and just take it for personal consumption. Because then you're hoping you hit a home run, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to hit a home run every time.
No.
Yeah.
In fact, there's like 7 out of 10 you're going to ground out to the shortstop.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you're pretty good at that rate too. Yeah.
So it takes money to make money 100%. Can you influence that a little? Yeah. That's what we call self-gens. Self-gens is like how you magnify that, but you still have to invest. 100%.
Yeah.
If you do better, spend more. Take a little cream off the top of it, but still reinvest it.
I think it's really well said, and it's a good story, a good example. Unfortunately, there's too many stories like that. I think there's also a lot of probably newer business owners that got into it because they're good at doing the thing that they're doing, and maybe not great at running a business, and they don't spend enough time understanding that part of it, right? Understanding or working on the business side of it, understanding the numbers and or reaching out to people to get, coached on that side of it as well too. And, you can't lose sight of what you do for the person you're doing it for. You got to always be really good at that, but understanding that and having conversations like this are really, really critical to growing and taking care of the people that signed up to help you build the dream. Because the second you take off too much, like you said, of that cream off the top and you do ground out to the shortstop, you wish you maybe had that extra asset laying around to help fund that extra month or two that you needed.
Mm-hmm.
Fun money, 50 grand a year in marketing for fun money. What are we spending it on?
I like it.
Yeah. Last hot take, kind of an interesting one for us is most home improvement contractors struggle with marketing and they deserve to struggle. True or false?
That's not true. That's so bad. I didn't realize you wanted to finish on a happy note.
Yeah.
No, I mean, to Fitz's point earlier, like most, I would say, like I'm not a skilled craftsman. I learned the business side, the sales side. I came from the sales side. But probably, I don't know the numbers, but I would absolutely bet more than half of home improvement contractors are guys who like have a skill. They're craftsmen. They work with their hands and they want to develop into being a business owner. Those two things aren't even close to the same, guys.
Right.
Right. Like, so they don't deserve that. But, how do you learn it? That's the real question of your question. Like, how does that person who deserves to be successful, they have to educate themselves and they have to, fake it till you make it, hang out with people who are successful and ask questions. Like when we have these meetings of the minds, like Haley noticed the first one, she's like, Dad, I don't want to go to these anymore. Everyone's always on you. They're always asking me questions. They want to buy you a drink, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, hey, I like drinks. But it's about like those guys, like I can learn from them the best method in a certain situation to get 100% probable success on an application, right? But they don't know, like we've already talked about, how to like generate brand awareness because they look at that as a loss. I've had guys, I talked to them about how I do radio and I talked to them about how we use our customers and they'll run a campaign for 3 months and said it didn't work. I canceled it. It wasn't set up to be ROI year one. It was set up to create, as we talked about, help the gatherers,
Mm-hmm.
help the
Yeah.
gathering part of the marketing part, create
Yeah.
awareness. It's just not a fair question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why it's a hot take, right?
Yeah, there you go. Jim, I always like going to those events and getting the chance to talk to people that know what they're talking about and asking some great questions. And, I was fortunate in my career to be exposed to a lot of really good, smart people and who taught me a lot. And at a certain point, got to a spot where I started getting asked questions and I got asked the same thing. Don't you get tired of being bombarded and that kind of thing? And one of the things I always appreciated was when I was getting asked those questions, sometimes I get reminded of some of the things that like, oh, you know what? We're not
Yeah.
doing that anymore. We need to start doing. I forgot that we're not
Oh
doing that,
yeah.
right? So
It's
there's
like
the
the tweed
advantage of it.
jacket in the back of the closet that's now back in style.
That's it. You can
Mm-hmm.
dust it off and go like, hey,
Right.
I'm ready to go.
Right.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. So that's good stuff, man. I appreciate the insight for sure.
That's good. Well, we've been talking for a while.
I appreciate you joining us. Honestly, this is a masterclass and
Mm.
many things
Wow.
business in our world and marketing and sales and just an awesome story in your background. Any parting words that you would give those that do tune in and look for nuggets and growth and opportunity in our world?
It's a learned experience, right? We all go through life, and as we do, we learn things. And so I've been fortunate, I've been blessed, but like along the way, you just have to be aware, like so you can learn. Like when I was first starting out, like I mentioned, Steve Dominic, he was my mentor at Sears. Like I leaned on him like my first 3 months of that role, like asking a
Mm-hmm.
lot of questions. How do I do this? How do I do that? And so,
Mhm.
you gotta in today's society, unfortunately, everyone instant gratification, right? Well,
Yeah,
that's not a
Mm-hmm.
thing in reality. It's just not. So, anything worth accomplishing takes time.
sure.
So be
Yeah.
patient with yourself. Find someone that is doing what you want to do or is where you want to be, and ask. Say, hey, like I have guys come to Arizona all the time on both products. Can I come and with like Kai and who you guys know? I think you
Mm-hmm.
do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kai came and
Yeah.
visited, and it was a win-win because we were just starting that financing program.
Mhm.
I
Mm-hmm.
hate finance.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, "Hey, Kai, you're doing really well at it. How would like in the middle of November you like to come to Arizona?
Yep. Yep.
I'll pick up your airfare in a hotel. You're on me, brother." But that
Yeah.
week,
Mm-hmm.
everyone learned from Kai. He was so good, so generous with his time, and he did a
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
terrific job uplifting my sales team from a
Yeah.
perspective that they understood. Like he made it
Mhm.
applicable.
Yeah.
Huge benefit to me. Kai's
Mm-hmm.
like, "Hey, the next year he's like, do you need me to come out again?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
That's
"No,
cool.
brother, I'm good."
Yeah. There
Yep.
you go.
Yep.
No,
Very
but
cool.
Yeah.
the the answer to your question is, don't be proud, be humble,
Mm.
ask.
Yeah.
Find a person in today's society, find someone
Mm-hmm.
who's doing what you want to do. I was always taught fake it till you make it, right?
Yeah.
Emulate them
Mhm.
until
Yeah.
you become so immersed that now your personality is allowed to shine through what you've learned. So
I love it.
that would be my
Yeah.
advice.
That's
Great
good.
advice.
I love it. One of the things that you said a while back on this is when we asked you about dropping into multiple locations, you said essentially build your reputation before you need it. And I thought that was really important because I talk to a lot of dealers that are like, I just want leads. And I'm like, yes, but let's actually build a brand around this.
Yeah.
And you mentioned your radio spots were customer testimonials. So building that reputation, that's a powerful piece of business advice. That's great.
Yeah, so like we're trying to now 5 years in, I wanted more commercial work. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what my radio spots in 2026. I have two of them. I call them
Mm-hmm.
added to the jukebox because I keep
Mm-hmm.
all the radio ads in and I just let them so that it's never the same.
Mhm.
Now it's year 5, so we have 25 radio spots. We had 5 a year,
Mm-hmm.
but 2 of them this year were specific on commercial work.
Yep. Yep.
Business owners talking about, hey, we closed the office on Friday and we showed up Monday and it was beautiful. Galaxy did a terrific job. It's like they weren't even here
Yeah.
That's awesome.
and we were able to maintain our business flow. So
Yep. Yep.
Very cool.
That's good.
Very cool. Well, Jim, thanks so much for joining us, sir. It's been an absolute blast and learned a lot. Look forward to another conversation at some point in the near future where I'm sure I'll learn a ton more. And great advice there as well, too. Be humble and always opportunities to learn from
Yep.
everybody, and find somebody who is where you want to be and ask a question or two. That most of us are more than willing to give you some advice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. It was enjoyable.
Yeah. So for our listeners out there who haven't liked and subscribed, what the heck's your problem? What are you waiting for? Ring the bell,
There
like
you
and
go.
subscribe. Share this episode with your friends, with your business friends that are maybe struggling, need some encouragement, need some perspective. Get out there and spread the word.
That's right. And tune into our next episode. We're going to discuss the 4 most critical questions that we need to answer in every sales process, really in every decision-making process that's out there. You're not going to want to miss that one, right?
Yeah.
Can I give a little hint? The company, the product.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a couple of them out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't give you all the answers.
You might have run into a sales call or two in your time, huh?
Yes, that's. Are you kidding me?
There
Every
you go.
once in a while, so that's a fun sales meeting. Like, I'm Indy, Phoenix, summer, winter. So my first meeting back in, I always go to the board and say, stump the chump. Give me your
There you go.
objections. Let me show you
I
how
like
you
it.
answer them. We do it
I
stuff.
like it.
So like they throw frisbees at them. I'm a Labrador. I retrieve them and I return them to them with the right answer.
I love
That's
it.
great.
I love
That's
it.
great. Yeah.
I love it.
So Fitz, always a pleasure. Jim, thanks for being on the show. Until next time.
All right, guys. Take care.
We'll see you guys. Happy hunting, everybody.